Now joining us today is Kwame Nkrumah Boto, he's General Secretary of CPP. I guess you see what's happening to me now, right? Yes. Okay. Nelson Kujo is head of, this one, Melbourne Capital, right?
Yes, sure.
Okay, I didn't get the other one.
Head of Finance.
Okay, no, the second is Kuagbeji. Okay. Okay, and then also we have Professor Isaac Bodi. He's Dean Accounting and Finance UPSA, and Andrew Apia Dankwa is Director Legal and Constitutional Affairs of the United Party. Quite interested. I have to be reading Russia. Oh, gentlemen, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Okay, let's get into the issues, but I want us to start from the budget, because on the front page of the BNFT, but let's go through the papers even before we get into the details. I have BNFT with me. I have Daily Guide. Kwaboji has the Inquisitor.
I have the Catalyst and the Point.
The Point, okay.
I have Daily Graphic and Daily Analyst.
Okay. Prof?
Yeah, the Insight. Daily Gist.
Okay, so on the front page of the BNFT, it says revenue fragilities cast shadow over 2026 budget targets, according to Deloitte. We'll go into this later on. Economy expands 5.1% in August. Strong services and farm output. Banking, it says First Bank partners Global Entrepreneurship Festival 2025 to champion Africa's next generation of innovators. And ISE calls for tougher measures to deliver growth and job targets. Also, Europe must help Africa break the cycle of debt, and Namibia eyes Jospon partnership to drive circular economy shift. Those are the stories at the back page. Achimota Retail Center kicks off Black Friday sales with thrilling sidewalk sale. And COP30, Namibia eyes Jospon partnership to drive circular economy shift. Those are the stories on the back page of the BNFT. The Daily Guide, MPs clash over 2026 budget. The details are on page 6 of the paper. NPP Presidential Primaries Committee reject diaspora proxy vote petition. It comes with a photograph of the committee chairperson, Joseph Osei-Wusu, there. Now, Assemblyman acquitted over Major Mahama murder. You remember this guy? He was sentenced for life, right?
Yes.
And then he's been acquitted and discharged. So it means that he was innocent all this while. How long has he been in prison? From 2013, right?
No, Major Mama is having 2016.
2016, right?
I'm sure he's been in prison from sometime 2019.
Okay. All right. Justice Rita Ajiman Budu goes home November 22. That's a sad one. Yeah. Okay, I'm done.
All right, so on the front page of the Inquisitor, extradition of Oforiatta, proceedings pending, OSP clarifies. Then CD at 60, gold board highlight role in stronger CD. Then we also have Baba Kamara leads ECOWAS election observation mission to Guinea-Bissau, and NAPO reflect on 10 months break.
Okay.
So basically that is from the Inquisitor.
Okay.
Okay. So the Catalyst, we have police ignored my calls for help, says woman in viral domestic violence video. Upon Fosu calls on U.S. investors to explore Ghana. We could have bought a new presidential jet with money Akufo-Addo blew on luxury jets at Tufosu. And also, Iyoko returns to court, seeks tougher bail conditions for former Bust MD. And the Ghanaian Point, reform Kimberley process to protect diamond communities. Sami Jenfi, government commissions 4 new patrol boats to strengthen marine police operations. COP30, Namibia and Jospon make a move towards strategic waste management alliance. Ghana took no money to accept West African deportees from US at Blackwater tells Parliament. And also, Trifo Atimokwa Galamsey.
Trifo Atimokwa.
Thank you. Trifo Atimokwa. Okay. Trifo Atimokwa Galamsey. Dispute leaves 3 critically injured.
Yeah, so the Daily Graphic, improving public financial management. No more check payments by public sector. Electronic transfer takes effect next quarter. Government secures €47 million for irrigation farming. Agric Minister. COP30 in limbo as fire outbreak creates stampede.
Hey.
First Bank Ghana Partners Global Entrepreneurship Festival 2025. Then from the Daily Analyst, banner headline, Ufuriata others face court, November 24th, over major 78 count graft case. NPP upholds ban on proxy voting. And on a side note, Justice Rita Ajiman Budu to be laid to rest tomorrow. Court of Appeal frees Assemblyman in Major Mahama Meda case. Ghana's economy strong to purchase new jet, Ernest Nogbe. Then Accra Kumasi Express Highway Plan misplaced priority, Okankwe Central MP.
Okay.
I have the Ghanaian publisher, MPP presidential primary in danger over proxy voting dispute. The same story, Justice Ritajiman, Budu goes home tomorrow. Then I have page 6, Ghana call for urgent Kimberley process overhaul. Then a story on page 3, implement store 24-hour economy. Jinapo tells government. Minister urges MP to innovate for future energy transition. And that's also a story on page 2. Then I have the Daily Gist, 2026 MPP presidential primaries. No proxy vote for election committee rules. There's a story also in page 2. Shrag petition to probe public offices over asset declaration defaults. The Natoshi attack by Omia. That's also a story in page 3. Sex jumpo in hot water.
Sexy.
Or sexy jumpo in hot water. That's also page 3. And then OSP dancing around Oforiatta, page 4. The last paper I have is the Insight. Kwasi Pratt renews call for African reparations and unity against neocolonialism. It's been a long time I heard this. Neocolonialism. Then there's a story here on page 3. 2026 budget. Edu Watch thumbs up support for free SHS, but warns of risks to infrastructure. Then I have the same COP30, Namibia vows to partner Jospon Group on waste transition. So these are the stories that I have here on the Insight.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's start from the BNFT. It says the 2026 budget faces significant risk from persistent revenue underperformance, according to a new analysis by Deloitte. That raises serious questions about the sustainability of government's fiscal consolidation agenda. While headline macroeconomic indicators showed marked improvement in 2025, the advisory firm cautioned that weak tax mobilization, volatile oil receipt and structural leakages within the domestic revenue system could threaten government's ambitious revenue target for the year ahead. The Ministry of Finance has set out total revenue and grants for 2026 at 268.1 billion cedis, including 223.9 billion cedis in tax revenue, the highest in Ghana's fiscal history. However, Deloitte review of the 2025 outturn shows a broad pattern of underperformance across nearly all major tax handles, with the exception of personal income tax and property rate. Kwagbeji, let me start with you.
All right.
I mean, do you find, or do you have the same feeling after analyzing the budget that maybe government must tread cautiously in terms of a target?
All right, thank you very much. Good morning once again. I've always been saying that tax revenue is the lifeblood of every economy. And if you want to develop your economy, then you must tax the economic operators within the economy in order to get the needed revenue to, as it were, develop your economy. Now, if you look at the budget critically, it's one of the ambitious budgets that we have had in the recent past, considering the fact that capital expenditure alone, government is allocating about 57 billion Ghana cedis as compared to what they did last year. If you look at the other allocations, I mean, government really needs revenue to actually undertake those projects. Now, when you look at the September 2025 actual, the government intended to raise about 162 billion Ghana cedis. But we raised about 153 billion Ghana cedis, a shortfall of about 4%. And that represents about 11% of GDP. Now, this year, government intends to raise about 268 billion Ghana cedis in revenue. And the chunk, about 83% of that revenue is coming from tax, tax revenue.
Yeah.
Which means that if you are not able to tread cautiously and raise that quantum of revenue, then it means that we may have some challenges implementing the ambitious project that we outlined in the budget. Now, one of the challenges that we have had as a country has to do with the raking in of the informal sector, because our economy is largely informal. Now, if you are not taxing the informal sector, which represent about 60 to 70% of our economy, it means that it is only the 30% that will be paying tax for the entire country, and that is not sustainable. And so if you look at the budget, you clearly see that petroleum revenues are supposed to reduce, because when we started 2025, a barrel was trading at around $74. But as of September, it has reduced sharply to about $64 dollars per barrel. Then the volume of export that we have done over the period has also reduced significantly. And when that continues, it means that we may not get the needed, revenue from oil, export in terms of the ABFA that we have. Then also, in terms of the tax revenue itself, there are so many untaxed sectors of the economy. Now, if you take, for instance, property rate, I've always been saying that when you go to Cantonment, you go to Osu, you go to West Legon, East Legon, there are high-rising buildings out there that people don't really pay property rate. So it's one of the low-hanging fruits that the government can easily lay their hands on.
But according to this, I think that was the exception. Personal income tax and property rate performed a bit better than other handles.
Yes, to the extent that they perform better, doesn't mean we still don't have people who don't pay property rate. And so, I mean, if you go out there, I mean, you realize that most people, I mean, even landlords, I'm sure where you are, if it's not your own property, you ask yourself whether your landlord, so property rate is one of the areas that government can easily, rake in something. Then also, if you look at the capital gains regime in Ghana, until the person realizes the asset, it becomes difficult for the person to pay. Meanwhile, in other jurisdictions, once the value of your asset improves, you have to go and pay. What it technically means is that if you have a building in East Legon that today the price is, let's say, $3,000, and tomorrow the price is $4,000, the value has appreciated by $1,000, let's say 1,000 cedis. Since now we are supposed to be quoting everything in Ghana cedis. So your value has increased by 1,000 Ghana cedis. Technically, you are supposed to go and pay tax on that 1,000 Ghana cedis. But the current regime that we operate in Ghana shows that until you realize the asset, it becomes difficult. So I think these are some of the areas that, and also the VAT, reconfiguration that we did, we expect that to also enhance some level of tax compliance. The cascading and the distortionary effect of the current regime is not sustainable. A lot of people evade the tax because they feel it's too complex. So we expect the new regime, which is just 20% on the exclusive amount, I mean, people will comply. And
you say just, but...
No, I mean, if I say... yes.
That's high on, that's on the high side.
Don't forget, I've always been saying that there is an economy to develop. Government needs money. I mean, in terms of volume, yes, 20%, but don't forget that it's not a 20% of the exclusive amount that they are going to pay. It's the output and input relationship, whatever, difference is there that they are going to pay. So we expect that to also enhance government revenue. But the fear is that if government is not able to raise this revenue, just as Deloitte is projecting, we may have some one or two, issues out there. And so this is time for the GRA to embark on a comprehensive tax compliance, comprehensive tax education and sensitization to rake a lot of people as much as possible into the tax net.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense to be increasing taxes here and there, but as more people are raked in, you expect to expand your revenue. If you look at the medium-term revenue target of government, they want to achieve about 18 to 20% of GDP by 2027. And so if you are not able to rake in enough, you may not be able to achieve that target. So I totally agree with Deloitte. GRA need to sit up and then make sure they rake in a lot of people and also try to seal the leakages that are in the system. I mean, everybody know that sometimes the leakages and the wastages in revenue, in expenditure, is what actually account for our problem. And so we need to seal those leakages in terms of revenue and in terms of expenditure.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Let me bring in Professor Bodi, and then I'll bring in the two lawyers. One is an entrepreneur, so he would give us, how the entrepreneurs are seeing this particular budget and all of that. Professor Bodi, if you read this news, it says the advisory firm cautioned that weak tax mobilization, volatile oil receipt, and structural leakages within the domestic revenue system could threaten government's ambitious revenue target for the year ahead. Do you foresee that this could compel the government to say, let's go back to the capital market, even though they say they won't go?
Yeah, good morning to you and to your viewers, my good friends as well. Let me also thank Joy for your support yesterday. We had a press conference and we had the time to discuss the budget as well. So on behalf of the Institute, we are grateful. Let me answer your question before I backtrack to look at other issues. Yes, we are told the government will not go to capital market. That is a fact. Whether we go or not, certain conditions on issues can cause the government to step into the capital market. And I'm saying that we can't rule that one out. When your revenues are having challenges, obviously, you'll find other means. If you don't have support from the domestic market in terms of borrowing through the short term or any other avenues, you are likely to go into a capital market because, yes, different ways of raising revenue to help take care of your expenditure items. So if domestically you are not realizing what you're supposed, you obviously have to go into a capital market. But the fact is that they want to say they will go. So that is a fact. So the condition can compel you to go. Let me also backtrack and look at the various issues from the budget, and that will tie into the revenue stream as well. I see weak outlook, the growth outlook, weak, and major structural risks in this budget. And I share the opinion of ISE. ISE, they've also issued another statement as well on the same budget, meaning we have a problem. But let's also say that, yes, we have seen major signs in this economy.
But what makes it weak?
So I'll come to that. Yeah, we have seen major signs in terms of improvement. GDP growth exceeded the targets, inflation halved, gross international reserve increased. So these are positive things that we have seen. But in totality, weak growth outlook. And I'll come to fact issues. And I was happy when my good friend also mentioned that the tax, we're having issues with tax. More than 70% are going to generate internal revenue from taxes. Good. We have abolished e-levy. We have abolished
COVID-19.
Before even was abolished, several taxes have been slashed, been taken off. What it means is that you're going to struggle with revenue. Now, look at the VAT registration threshold of this administration. They are going to increase it from, I think, 200,000 to 750. What it means is that companies or institutions that are generating less will be out of the tax bracket. So you shrink your tax at the same time expecting to open the bracket for people to come in. So those SMEs means that they are not going to pay VAT, they're not going to register, they're free for now. Now,
sorry, I have to break your thought, but doesn't that give relief to the ordinary Ghanaian, something that every government will be aiming to do. Because if the small SME is not paying taxes, it means that he or she will not transfer the tax payment to the consumer, which the consumer will then be able to afford those goods and services.
Just even have your argument.
Okay.
The government even quantifies how much they'll put into our pocket. 5.7 to come into ordinary Ghanaian. Your pocket.
Yeah, that's from just the COVID-19 levy. That's what they said.
Yeah, I'm saying that as part of how much will come into someone's pocket. 7 points. So I was expecting this to be reflected in the budget. Where are you going to get the additional money if you abolish all these taxes? We didn't see that in the budget. The other thing that also very important that in the budget, which I have it as a problem, on dividends, on SOEs, state-owned enterprises. The government, as part of having more revenue, they are going to tax these people or ensure that they pay huge dividends. Historically, check the performance of these institutions. What are they going to put in place for them to have more dividends paid into the government? That's another challenge. So if you're going to increase your revenue based on these structures, then we have a problem. Because you're giving about 5 point something to people's pocket, which will be, and in any day, if you tell any company not to pay taxes, the person will be happy. And I said it several times. But what is the implication of that? Now, let's go back to what the minister said on 13th of November. He said, removal of e-levy did not weaken revenue generation. He said it on Ghana News TV. The removal of e-levy did not weaken revenue generation. But check page 18, paragraph 112 of the same budget. Total revenue and grants for the first 3 quarters of 2025 were 154 billion, representing about 11% of GDP. He said, removal of e-levy did not affect our revenue. But in the same document, in the budget, page 18, paragraph 112, it says, we targeted 162 billion, but the government generated a revenue of 154. Is that a shortfall? Yes, about 7.7. So I have a problem when a minister makes such pronouncement that removal did not. We are talking about revenue. But in your own budget, you tell us we lost out 7.7 billion out of revenue. I saw a lot of inconsistencies in the budget, which I must be honest. You realize that the government introduced taxes. There was some introduction, although some were abolished. There was some introduction of taxes.
As in the 2026 budget or 2025?
No, 2025.
The introduction?
Yeah, the introduction.
Oh, the 1 cedi per litre levy?
Yes.
Okay.
1 cedi per litre, and then insurance, 15% of life insurance also was introduced.
Okay.
With all these introductions, we still lost out in terms of revenue targets. So the question whether we go to international market or not is something that we can debate on. But with reference to the 25 budget, e-levy, COVID tax, cumulatively, we are looking at about 4 point something. So my worry is that regardless of all this you are talking about, we still have a problem as a country in generating more revenue today. And if you don't have revenue, how do you take care of your expenditure items? So my worry, purely on revenue generation and the measures we have put in place to rake in more revenue from us. Let's look at the expenditure pattern of this administration. Remember that a total expenditure on government on commitment base for 3 quarters 2025 amounted to 170 billion.
117 billion.
Yeah. You know, now, if you are not performing in terms of revenue, what do? you cut your expenditure. So the issue about prudent management is simply because if you are not generating revenue, you cut your expenditure. That's the wisest thing to do. So it's not about prudent management. It's just that you are not generating more revenue to take care of your expenditures. So you just have to cut your spend.
But isn't that prudent? That if I decide that, okay, if I decide that I'm not generating more, so I'm cutting my expenditure.
You know your revenue is not coming.
Yeah.
It cuts down on an expenditure.
You can't. So when I say, it's not just that you cannot take care of your expenditures. Your issue, raise more revenue to take care of your expenditure. And when we say discipline, it doesn't mean don't spend. No. But be careful when you're spending. Be careful when you're spending. So those various development projects, if you don't generate revenue, those in the Bible, I mean, you are good in the scriptures. The talent person, when certain amounts were entrusted into the hands of them, the one person said, I will not, I know my Lord. He will destroy me when he comes back, so let me keep it. What happens at the end of the day? So, not that you need to be reckless, but you are prudent in managing this.
So spend, but spend wisely.
Spend wisely.
Don't spend and equate that to be prudent management. That's what you're saying.
That's all. And look at compensation, the budget. Compensation alone, from 2026, compensation total about 51 billion. Compensation. So I was discussing with my brother. I didn't see any paradigm shift in this budget. 2025, 2026, the same. A country spends so much on interest payment. We spend so much on compensation. 2025, we saw the same thing. 2026, we are saying the same thing. More than 50% of the budget will go into compensations and interest payment. How much will be left to take care of our CapEx?
2025, were we paying
So
that
I
much
think
interest?
2025.
No, 2025.
Yeah, 2025.
The same 2025.
Yes, I think there has been a monumental jump in terms of allocation to CapEx in 2026 as compared to 2025. So I think it's about 57 billion Ghana cedis, of which about 30 billion is allocated to the big push.
30
Yes,
billion.
30 billion is allocated to the big push. But the total allocation to CapEx is about 57 billion, a little over 57 billion, which is almost the same as that of, interest payment.
The same as interest payment?
Yes, the same as interest payment.
How much will be left at the end of the day? So we are seeing major issues with this budget. If you want to grow in your revenue, then it's not more of administrative related issues, but more production and expansion. That's the only thing you can help develop your budget and develop the country. The government tells us they didn't spend. But look at the government machinery. They allocated 360-something million or so.
Million.
Yeah, I'll check the figure. But they spent 500 in excess. You tell us one thing, cut your expenditure. We understand because you're not getting raw revenue. But an item that you budgeted for, which I find it here, and let me be exact on the figure here. The government spent almost 540 million. They budget 660 plus. They spent more.
On what?
Whilst on government machinery.
Okay.
But we're not able to recruit, employ teachers and nurses. But the government machinery spent that huge, overspent. So if you run an economy like this...
So, Prof, I want you to give me that. So you are saying that on government machinery alone, they budgeted to spend 362. 362.
Yeah.
But ended up spending 540.
Yeah.
Okay.
But What happened to 150 health professionals? We're not able to take care of because of expenditure issue. There was something interesting in the budget that it's better you understand this. In page 145, the paragraph 1183, the budget claims that 62 billion road contracts awarded so far under the big push will generate an estimated figure of 490,000 jobs. In the budget, we are told of 800,000 will be created.
Yeah.
So how do you do this math?
Okay, so they say they will create 800,000 jobs.
Yeah.
But big push alone, they say they are creating how much?
They have spent 63
They have given,
billion.
I'm not sure I spent it. They've
Yeah.
awarded 60 billion in contract under big push.
Good.
And they expect that to create how many thousand jobs?
490.
490. Yeah, so the
90,000.
remainder will be shared to other sectors.
Is it casual workers?
Oh, in the road sector.
Casual
road
workers
sector.
we are talking about.
Oh,
But I don't think...
No, I'm only asking questions which we might not have an answer. But what type of job are we talking about? Are we adding this to the 800 or we less this from the 800? Yet I don't have the answer.
Okay.
But if you check the appropriation bill, they budgeted 13 billion, yet spent 9 on big push.
big push.
So how many jobs were created? I don't know. These are some of the inconsistencies, issues that I've had with the budget.
But in job creation, whether it's casual or permanent, within a certain specific period of time, don't you classify whether it's casual or not as job creation?
There are different types of jobs and unemployment. So we go back to UN and other classifications. Permanent jobs, casual jobs. Which job are we talking about? We are left in a vacuum. That's what we are debating. So what is wrong for the ministers who have stated all this? When we ask, they will tell the budget cannot capture everything. But the budget is able to capture other items and leave all of us in doubt. We don't know which jobs we are creating now. So you realize that the government, on one breath, is talking about development, yet your revenue struggling. And one shocking thing that I saw, that they will use, I said it the other day, AI customs reforms. AI custom reforms. I believe in technology in any day. What happened to paperless? What happened to paperless? How many people from customs have been trained on technology? That will help boost your revenue, take care of your expenditure. That's why I said the growth outlook a bit weak. Because the government is going to use compliance, digitalization, custom, and then we'll have cross-border patrols or so that. If you are focusing on these measures, then you are going to have a problem. The possibility of we returning to the capital market, for me, is imminent. I can see, the government tells us no. But for me, with this sort of revenue and projections, we have an issue.
Okay, all right. Because I see that ISA is also calling for tougher measures to deliver growth and job targets. So it's good that all of you finance people, you're raising these issues with the budget. I'm sure government will take it up and see how they can strengthen things up. We've had the two finance people who give us a lot of details.
Just 1 minute.
We need to move on.
Okay, just 1 minute.
Then make it 30 seconds because Andrew and the two lawyers have to have their bite and then we can move on to
In
law.
the budget, government also made mention of completing 10 of the Agenda 111 hospitals.
Yes.
That is a fantastic idea,
But sorry, on that score,
Yeah.
I'm from the Hunter West, so when I see issues like that, the Hunter West MPP has written questioning the reasoning behind the 100 million because earlier in the year, they say the health minister and the local authorities had said that the Agenda 111 in Bukro, which was commissioned, requires 140 million to complete. So their question is, if you say our hours require 140 million to complete, and you are devoting 100 million to complete 10, which of them?
Okay. So, well, I am
You
not
say
so...
110?
100 million.
100 million
for 10.
For 10 Agenda 1 hospitals.
Well, I am not so much interested in the details, but what I am interested more is the job creation aspect that he mentioned. I think that the creation of the job in the budget is implied. I mean, it's not tailored only to the big push, that the big push will generate over 800,000 jobs. I mean, that is practically impossible. What I am happy about is that...
What do you say is practically impossible?
I mean, 800,000 jobs from the 30 billion allocated to the big push.
No, I'm not sure they said the 800,000 jobs is all from big push.
I'm saying that the 800,000 jobs,
the total
cannot be attributed
by this. No, it's not only big push.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. That is how I'm coming to say that one way of creating sustainable, quality and decent job is through infrastructure development. That's is undebatable. And so when you build E-blocks out there, you build, Agenda 111 hospitals out there, you expect doctors to work there. Yeah. You expect nurses to work there. You expect administrative staff, laborers, and all kinds of category of persons to work at that hospital.
People will sell there.
Exactly. And so that is the surest way to go. Not what we saw in the past, the NAPCO type of, of job. I mean, once you create the infrastructure, you expect people to wake up every day, go there and work sustainably. You understand? So that is one thing.
But if you bring in a NAPCO discussion, I get the angle you're going, but of course, what Prof. and Co would also question is, when you are constructing those buildings, you use laborers to do that.
Certainly.
Those jobs are not permanent.
Well,
after the life cycle of the project, they are off.
I agree.
I'm sure those are all computed into the job creation.
Yes, I'm sure that is what Prof is referring to.
But I'm sure governments also target those numbers will be part of
it. Yes, but when we are talking about employment in an economy, we don't only refer to, permanent employment. Even in financial institutions and other, places, we have what we call the contract staff. Once your contract is done, they will say, okay. The most important thing is that we are making headway as a country in terms of job creation. If you look at what happened in LWAC the other day, that clearly tells us a picture that the underlying risk factors are so huge that if you don't take time, that may derail the gains that we have.
I'm grateful. We have to move on. There's still other issues.
You know something interesting in the budget? The government, in the statement, allocates 110 billion. If you check the appendix, the same budget, the amount there is 90 billion.
To what?
Wow. I don't get it. The statement, go and check the statement. The government tells us 110 million allocated to the big push.
110 billion or 100?
No, it's million.
Okay.
But if you check the appendix, it's rather 90.
90 million.
Yeah.
Dollar or Ghana?
Oh, it's Ghana, 90 million.
110 million for the entire big push.
It casts a doubt.
I don't think.
110, I'm not sure will be for big push.
For the big push.
Because again, the 62 billion is for the entire period, right? 62 billion.
No, you check this. Later you can have time and check.
Okay.
Keep this figure and go to appendix 4.
The figure again?
It's 110, but in the appendix.
So the statement says 110 million allocated to.
But in the appendix,
90.
It's 90. That is the 20 for compensation or so, and also 70, making 90.
Okay.
So it casts a doubt on some of these figures that you channel out there.
Okay. So the finance guys would cross-check and then we can all come to a conclusion. We need to move on. It's 51 after 7. Abed, let me come to you. I'll just give you both you will be handling the bail conditions for me, as the finance people have done. Do you still want to have a bite on that? I can just give you a minute for you to have a bite on that.
Just as in from my, what's called, non-technical position.
Which one?
I think the budget ought to align to the economic agenda is set in our constitution. I think that the aligning principle in that agenda is that it's the duty of government to create the right economic environment for private sector to be the engine of growth. so that if that's agenda, then everything we do, especially the budget, must align to that agenda. And I saw a lot in that budget that suggested to me that this budget intends to align to that agenda.
Okay. All right.
You see, when you define what an economy is, an economy isn't just about government taking revenue. An economy also is a state of relation in terms of the production and consumption of goods and services.
Yeah.
So that if a budget can find a way of getting, is it 5 points, how much billion?
The growth?
No, the impact of the removal of the COVID levy.
Of
3.7.
3.7.
Yeah.
3.7 billion.
That's on the tax part.
Removing the
removal of the
1% COVID-19.
COVID-19.
3.7 billion.
If this budget manages to, by the removal of budgets, manages to put about 5.something billion into the pockets of Ghanaians, that's enhancing our potential to consume. And we all know that consumption is one of the key drivers of every economy. Yeah. Indeed, in the US, consumption, the ability of the ordinary American.
You've closed 1 minute too.
You can't give me 1 minute.
You have the bill to.
No, you have the bill to look at. You give a technical for all they are talking about.
I'm giving you the 2 of you lawyers to handle bill.
No, I'm also an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? You understand? Yeah. So you see, we need to understand that first of all, you cannot suggest that government, by removing what's it called, tax, and by so doing putting this huge amount of money in our pockets to enhance consumption, is a negative thing. Because if there's something that history has, and I'm making reference to the 2020 COVID, the post-COVID economy in the US, where they said that the ability of the ordinary American to consume was one of the key reasons that prevented a recession of the American economy. So that is a plus. If they removed, what's it called, putting money in our pockets, that can be a negative.
Consume more.
That's a plus. Two, you see, the history has also told us that when it comes to job creation, then the biggest bit of the economy that creates jobs are the SMEs, small, medium scale enterprises. Yeah. They're the biggest creators of jobs. So that if the underlying principle in our economic agenda is for government to create another, what's called, that good economic environment. And that means that one, your inflation must be low, your foreign exchange must be stable,
your lending rate
must be low, and lending rate
we are not seeing it.
It has reduced drastically. Check the budget.
Hey, which bank?
No, right now.
Lending rate. We're talking about going to the banks.
Let's do comparative analysis. You see, sometimes we can do target. We can do
the bill. I want to do the bill.
Oh no, let me just
land.
So you see, we can do a comparative analysis. You see, one talk about the target. You said that even though they missed the target, the amount of money they raked in was record high. Not so.
Which one?
You know,
no, the target they've set here.
No, but you see, there are two ways of measuring. You can measure by target. You can also measure by way of comparative analysis. By comparing to other times, how well you just can't be comparing by target. You can also make analysis based on by comparing in 2025 and 2024. When you compare, in which year did we get more revenue? You can also do that.
And which year?
Yeah. So when you were speaking, you said that in spite of they failing to meet, what target raised was record high. Per what you're reporting, unless I was not hearing well. Prof. Amala.
No, it is the target. It says the Ministry of Finance has set total revenue and grants for 2026 at 268.1 billion, including 223.9 billion in tax revenues, the highest in Ghana's fiscal history. So that's the target.
So the target is the highest.
Yeah.
Now let the finance experts also do something for us. We are lay people.
Oh,
let them give us, not today, later. Taxing, they should do a comparative analysis. Yes, it's good to be judging them based on their own target. Okay. But it's also critical for us to also make analysis based on comparing.
But someone will also tell you, because we know that one regime wasn't doing better. That's
no. You see, no. You must compare. It's not about comparing to say that this is bad. Let's compare and see the progress we are making in terms of, you understand? Then we can go to make, but all in all, I think that this, I agree with Prof. and that there's no paradigm shift. There's no paradigm shift in the budget. But at least what this budget tells me that these are grown people who are telling me that they can manage this same paradigm better. And yes, we won't get a transformation, but at least we are taking small strides in developing our economy.
Okay.
Please, next time, listen to the lay people too. Don't give all the time to the.
When it comes to law, you are the expert. So now we are going to law. Kwame Nkrumah, I won't let him come into the budget because we've spent a lot of time. So Kwame will start the bill for me. Kwame, what the EOCO is trying to do now, and people have complained, but the EOCO is explaining that they set the bill terms to match how much it is alleged that the person has stolen. Now we have been told that they have been going, EOCO is heading back to court to seek even tougher conditions for the former boss MD. I mean, I've heard some lawyers say that's against the people's human rights because the Constitution enshrines that if you peg a bail condition above what the person can actually give, that becomes a difficulty. You are just deliberately trying to keep the person incarcerated.
Thank you, Kojo, and good morning to Ghanaians and CPP members, and especially our able Director of Communications, Osei Kofi Akwa, a hard-working gentleman who celebrated his birthday on Wednesday.
Okay.
If you go to Section 94 of the Criminal Procedure Code, it says that bail should not be withheld as a punishment. And the conditions shouldn't be unusually harsh. There are various conditions that are set there. And EOCO set the bail at 60 million. The lawyers had it varied to 30 million. The Human Rights Court agreed with the lawyers that it should be lower. And EOCO has gone back seeking for justification to be placed on the 30 million. Which means that it shouldn't just be sureties. A surety is when you sign bail. If I'm granted bail, I can be asked to bring a number of people who will sign as guarantors, in quotes, in case I abscond, so that they will be pursued for the bail bond or whichever amount. So EOCO is saying that the sureties were not justified. That means we're not made to bring any property documents or other things that can be proceeded against in case the suspect, in this case, absconds. And of course, when you are setting bail conditions, it always has to align with the crime. It is not a figure that you just conjure up. In my experience in court proceedings, when a person is accused of a crime, the Honorable Court looks at the facts provided by the prosecution, weighs it against the charges. Because don't forget that the evidence is not before the court yet. So it is up to the court to weigh the facts and the charges and listen to the arguments of both the lawyers and the prosecution in order to arrive at what it feels may be fair and just in the absence of the evidence. So it's a very dicey discretionary power because anybody at all can be charged with anything. At the end of the day, the person can be found not to have done what he's said to have done. So the court has to weigh all these things. So even though the practice is to set the value according to how much you are alleged to have misappropriated, the court also has to take into consideration whether it has been proven, whether it is likely to be proven, or whether from reading the facts, it is so clear as to be able to make a determination on it. I heard
but for example, in the Osiasibe case, the National Service, the former National Service Secretariat boss, the court varied it from 800 million to 600 and to around 600 million. But the lawyer's argument is that, I mean, compliance would require that they pledge dozens of high-value properties in Accra or over 1,000 houses in Kumasi, making the terms, quote unquote, impossible to meet. And I was having a discussion with a lawyer yesterday. He said, if you do that, that's like you're saying, I have given you the bill, but I know you can't meet it, so I'll still keep you there.
Oh, yes, yes.
Which
yes.
means infringing the person's right.
Of course.
To free until he's proven guilty, because you are they say what? You are innocent.
Innocent to proven guilty.
So why mustn't that guide how bail terms are set? Because 623 million with sureties. How is that? How is one person going to meet it?
It seems quite draconian. But then again, the courts have the discretion to look into it, and our legal system is fraught with some of these infractions, which we are gradually getting rid of. And I think this case should probably call for reforms in the bail sector. Martin Kpebu had this case a few years ago, Martin Kpebu versus the Attorney General, where the Supreme Court struck off part of the
bill that every case is now bailable.
Exactly. On one hand, every case is bailable, and on the other hand, if you stand as surety for somebody, you are in the past. If you stand as surety for somebody and the person absconds, then you also were slapped with some stringent requirements that made you look like an accused person. You managed to have those things struck down. So as we go along, we make reforms in our bail sector. So I believe that it is true. It may be the equivalent of 1,000 houses in Kumasi or whatever it is. But
1,000.
Yes,
yeah, that's the argument the lawyers.
But the thing is that
623 million.
The thing is that if the prosecutor authorities have proof that that money has been lodged somewhere or spent somewhere, that they believe this person can marshal people who may have conspired with him or enjoyed some of the proceeds, they believe that they could be able to marshal some property to that amount.
Okay.
But then again, the cardinal principle is innocent until proven guilty. You see, so that is why the court has that discretion. So okay. I think that so far the bail terms, I think it's been a bit astronomical. Okay. Before this period, I hadn't come across. I think the last bail term that was a bit high. It wasn't up to this. Right. But as we go along, we can do the reforms.
Let me bring in Apia Danko here. So, I mean, from where both you ended, the fact that in the wisdom of the court, probably the monies that is alleged to have been stolen, you could amass it from people that, quote unquote, maybe you share the money with. Isn't that the court or the people prosecuting this then impugning guilt, even because the conclusion is done by the court that whether you are guilty or not?
So, my personal view on this issue, and I have a very strong view on this issue, is that our fidelity as the vanguard of the principles of our constitution, of our constitutional democracy, is on trial here. Because this issue happened in the Chemawuntumi's case, where even though he wasn't charged as of that time, Chemawuntumi was kept in cells for more than 48 hours without he being presented, having been the court. Now we run a system which says that one of the principles that's supposed to fuel how we act is the principle of the rule of law. We run a system that claims that its purpose is, amongst other things, to protect our liberties. And to achieve that, we are saying that under no circumstance should any Ghanaian be kept in cells or liberty be denied him for more than 48 hours without the order of the court. Now, what does this mean? Does granting bail mean that you fulfilled the terms of this law? Because in Chamawuntumi's case, he wasn't charged. Provincial hasn't been charged.
I haven't read it. I'll check it.
He hasn't been charged. So, in both of their cases, under the law, they are not supposed, their liberties are not supposed to be taken from them for more than 48 hours without a court order. Now, does this mean that by just giving them bail and giving them those bills under very onerous conditions fulfills the requirement of the law that says that you should not keep anybody in cell for 48 hours without a court order? And my opinion is that by granting them bail, and the bill here is a police inquiry bill, no so. The bill they were granted is a police inquiry bill. It's a police inquiry bill. And giving them bail in such terms flouts the clear terms of our Constitution. That's my honest view. It flouts it. Because by granting them bail in the terms they grant them does not substitute for not keeping them in cell for over 48 hours.
I'm told this guy, Provincial, was held for 8 days in custody at the Yoko.
Chamawuntumi was held for about 7 days. And in both of their cases, after the 48 hours, they purportedly granted them bail, but in such terms that they could not fulfill against the clear terms of our Constitution. You understand? So if they're going to hold them beyond 48 hours, then the right thing for them to have done was of taking them to court, for the court then to charge them, and the court should decide whether to grant them bail or to let them go and the terms of the bill.
Okay.
So I think that's the first leg.
So it means that this guy, if you read the story, it's just investigation. He's not been charged.
He's not
So
been
if you
charged.
have not been charged, you should not be kept there for
more than 48 hours. If they're going to keep you for more than 48 hours, then they ought to take you to court. If you don't take it, how can you keep somebody for more than 48 hours without taking the person to court? And then you slash a bill under such onerous conditions. So it's like so that they are weaponizing bail. Okay. They are weaponizing bail, and they are using it to flout the clear terms of our Constitution and abusing the rights of citizens of Ghana.
Okay.
Yeah, understand? And you see, we tend to personalize things. So when it was Chamawuntumi, because a lot of people have issues with Chamawuntumi, people kept quiet. You understand? But whether you like Chamawuntumi or not, he's a citizen of Ghana. And all the rights, all the principles under our Constitution apply to Chamawuntumi as they apply to any other Ghanaian. Same with Provincial. You get a picture. So the principle that we all of us agreed to subject ourselves to under the 1992 Constitution is that nobody should be kept behind bars for more than 48 hours without taking the person to court. And a solution to that is not to give some bail and then you deliberately give some bail condition that the person cannot meet. And then you are punishing the person. You are persecuting the person. And you don't have the power to do that. You shouldn't have the power to do that.
But why isn't the court also directing such state institutions that you are wrong in doing that? Because, as I read, no charge has been filed. He's been kept more than 8 days, and the court only slashed.
So that's why you see the court cannot sit down and just be dipping their hands. Unless the matter is brought before the court, then the court can make a pronouncement on it. Okay. So in both their cases, they could have gone to court for habeas corpus, for orders of habeas corpus demanding that they are released because there's a fundamental breach of their fundamental rights under our Constitution. Now the second leg to this issue is now where they've been charged. Now where they've been charged, I think my brother did a fantastic job. Because you see, the fundamental principle there is that you should not treat bail as a punishment, as a tool to punish. Because for all intents and purposes, unless and until the court pronounced the person guilty, the person is innocent. You get a picture. And so you should not deliberately then use bail as a means to keep people who are presumed to be innocent. Of course, when the person has been charged and you are giving bail and you are setting the conditions, there are certain principles. Does the person have a high risk flight risk? Yes. So when we are applying for bail, there are certain things that we prove there. Because the courts give clear indications of what you should consider when you are granting whether you are granting bail. And one of those conditions includes the nature of the offense that they are being charged, but also whether they have a permanent place of abode and the thinking there is, are these people who are likely to run away? Will these people come to court when they are asked to come to court? They are the key things that you consider, whether to grant the person bail or not. So that if there's evidence that suggests that the person will run away, you understand? Then you, the judge, you may then decide to use your discretion not to grant the person bail. You understand? Now the question is whether or not, so because one of the key considerations is the offense that the person committed. Where the offense is stealing. Of course, I'm sure the amount of money the person is being alleged to have stolen may influence the bail condition you give. But the underlying principle is, will this person come to court when I ask the person to come to court? If in spite of the amount the person is purported to have stolen, you are convinced that this person has low risks, low flight risks, it does not make sense to give a bail condition that you yourself ought to know that it's practically impossible for the person to meet that bail. Then in that case, you waded into the arena of using the weaponizing bail and using that bail to punish somebody who, for all intents and purposes, is presumed under our constitution to be innocent. You understand? And we cannot allow this flouting of the principles that underpins our constitution. Then the objects for why we took upon this our constitution will be undermined. And no circumstance should those objectives be undermined. Those objectives being a guarantee or a protection of our right to our lives, a protection of our right to our liberties, a protection of our right to pursue our individual happiness. Yes,
how must we cure that?
And that's what I said, for me, these principles are, or our fidelity to these principles are under trial. Because when we passed our constitution, in our constitution, we thought that because, for whatever reason, based on a checkered history, we thought that we need to teach our people to align to these ones. And that's why we formed the National Civic, NCC,
National Commission
on Civic Education. Well, when you go to other constitutions, when you go to the US Constitution, you don't see National Reason for Civic Education. You go to Britain. But in Ghana, we thought that, listen, what you understand? So let's put in our constitution a provision that will train us, you understand, in terms of the principles that underpin. So for me, it's a matter of because clearly our fidelity to these hallowed principles that ought to underpin our constitution is lost.
Okay. All right.
Yes, so NCC has a lot of work to do.
Okay.
If it means incorporating this into our curricula, as in, so right from primary school, we train our people, you understand, in line with the principles that underpin
but it's
our
their
constitution.
job to do that. When organizations like EOCO, the boss that is even justifying that, look, what we are doing is that we are pegging the bail terms to how much they are alleged to have stolen. Is it the NCC to educate our citizens or the organizations that are charging or that are placing these bail terms on people?
Our constitution is how many years old? It's 33 years old.
Yes.
How old is EOCO was? I don't think it's 60 years old. So if NCC was doing their job right, those principles have been so inculcated
in him,
in how he delivered his or he discharged his duty, you have regard to these principles.
Okay, I'll let my two finance people come in, but I want you to start the OSP versus Ken Ejapon thing for me, because we understand that the OSP is moving to arraign him on the 24th of November, but his lawyer says he has not been properly served in terms of the charges that has been sent to court.
Who has not been served?
Ken Oforiatta.
In terms of the summons?
Yes.
In terms
charges, you know, the 78 charges. Out of that, he has 28 of them or so. Him, Ken Oforiatta, as an individual.
And not even one has been served him.
His lawyer says that to the best, because he says he's the lawyer. The client has not even called him that he has received anything like that.
So when it comes to court, well,
so let me give you 3 minutes on this.
So the fact that the client has not called the lawyer does not mean that the client hasn't, as in the accused hasn't been served. Because it's not the lawyer who be served. If I'm wrong, the person who be served is the accused. So I don't know unless he's asked his client and his client says that, listen, I have not been served.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
He said, and the OSP has a public lack of public opinion problem. The Ghanaians don't seem to trust that he is ready to discharge his duty, and the way they're managing the whole communication aspect of this kind of Fuata issue takes a lot of legitimacy from the actions of the OSP. In fact, the way himself has handled himself. To the extent that before this case, we all have a discussion here, whether or not even on the strength of the charges leveled against the accused. Listen, there are clear processes in our laws as to how people ought to be served. If the OSP hasn't done that, I don't know. It's the lawyer making an allegation. We all don't know. If what the lawyer is saying is true, and the OSP, he knows he's a very sharp lawyer. He knows the steps to take. He must, as a matter of urgency, do the right thing. Because Ghanaians, I think, you see, if we were supposed to do a post-election survey, one of the key reasons why His Excellency John Mahama had the extent of victory he did was the desire of Ghanaians to see justice done. There's so many stories of people looting the state. Yeah, son. So that if the OSP does anything that undermines our ability to receive justice, then what he is undermining really is the principle of probity and accountability. Okay. So for me, I don't want to judge. Okay. Or as I said, those people seems to find himself in an impossible situation. When he was not leveling the charges, boy. Right now, his level charges way. Okay. Yes, let's be patient. Let's be patient. Okay. Let's trust the system. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay. Let's allow the system to go, and let's see how this turns out.
But you 3 minutes on this. Will your client be served when you are not aware as a lawyer?
Yes, because when it comes to criminal cases, or even all cases, for example, the originating summons. In civil cases, a writ. It is served on your client. And when you enter appearance, subsequent processes can be served on you. In criminal cases too, the charge sheet and the facts is served on your client. And when you appear in court, the prosecution can give you additional copies. But the first point of service is the client. Your client can be served without your notice, because you may be calling yourself your client's lawyer, but it does not mean that you are exactly. Okay. It's up to the client. But if there's difficulty in serving a person, there's always room for substituted service. That means that the person may not be in Ghana in this situation. You have not been able to summon him to the police station to give him a copy or to his house. In criminal cases, most of the time, the charge sheet and facts is actually given to you in court on the day that the case is supposed to start, whilst you are registering the case. They gave you an hour or two to...
On this case, 24th November, next week, Monday.
Exactly. But I think the charge sheet is probably already out. But they have the discretion to register the case and then ask for a date for the case to be called. If they are unable to serve the summons on you, but they've served it on others, they can still proceed with the case whilst they are looking for you. And if they are not able to get you, they can ask for leave to serve you the summons by substitution through electronic means. That is through your WhatsApp or other means. They can also request to have it sent to the last place your last known place of abode. So it can be sent to whether you are living in the US or UK, but you have to go through certain diplomatic procedures in order to do that. So as for service, it's never closed. As long as a person is on this earth, you can...
You expect that on Monday, this case will be moved in court.
It's
interesting days ahead.
It's so good. But if he has not been served through any of these means, you can't assume that because there's a copy in the papers, he has seen it. You have to make a request to say that you want to have a copy maybe placed in this newspaper or that newspaper specifically to bring it to his attention. It should not be a reportage by a media house and you expect it. So there are various...
I'm grateful. Prof, this involves an alleged financial malfeasance. We are told it will be moved in court on 24th November. And the lawyer says that, well, my client has not been served. When you listen to all of this, what is the level of your hope that we may get justice in this particular matter?
I'm not a lawyer, so I'll give my 2 coins on this. And then looking at it, it will take time. Definitely the justice will be served. With respect to the MD, the boss, I mean, I've known him, a fine gentleman. I hope he comes out of this. When I look at the nature of the bail conditions, I sometimes advise myself, look at, in terms of the amount, is it 1 billion?
Which one? The bust one? Yeah. The bust, they brought it to 30 million.
30 million.
It was 60 million, they brought it to 30.
30 million. The nature of surety, they must end.
The court says it should not be justified.
Should not be justified. Okay. Would there be any reporting obligations?
I haven't read to that point.
Okay. I think the IOCO was complaining that there were no reporting obligations.
So that's why IOCO wants to go to court.
They now want to
get it done.
For it.
But as it stands, they don't have.
Only time we see hefty bail conditions, we have one clear idea that it's a serious case. One is a huge amount. We don't put premium to the case. I'm sure that's where just an ordinary Ghanaian, we understand. When you hear 50 billion, 70 billion, they are scared. It tells me that I have to live my life well. Because today, if I'm picked up, who is going to be I don't have a teacher, or who is going to be a teacher?
So once you're a teacher, nobody's going to pick you up.
It's just, we have to do things right. But it also raises some other questions. Balance of power. Presumption of innocence, like a good friend said. And what about conditions? You know, we should do things right. I hope and pray that we find justice, we find solution to these problems that we are going through. But we should also be seen as a country supporting our court system, our processes. You know, a developing democracy grappling with systemic corruption, we must cherish and enhance our judicial systems. And that's what I would say on this.
Okay, all right. Kwagbaji.
Yes.
Yes, let me bring you in.
So,
the OSP versus Ken and also the bill terms.
Yes. So I will comment.
You have 3 minutes.
Yes, briefly on the OSP versus Ken Ofori-Atta. You see, accountability is one of the pillars of good governance. And once you are in public office and public resources have been entrusted in your hands, the expectation is that at the end of your tenure, you come out and give, account of how you use those public resources. And we have all been in this country since the previous government took over power. And as a market watcher, we have all seen the kind of decisions that the government at the time took, which actually led to, banking sector cleanup, the investment sector cleanup.
Yeah.
That also, the third one has to do with the haircut on investment and all that. That actually had a toll on the economy to the extent that the macro and fiscal economic indicators at the time were all in red. For instance, if you...
But this case is in relation to SML.
Yes. So I am building it from, the decisions that government took at the time. To the extent that even in December 2022, we had one of the highest inflation in Ghana, 54%. That actually tells us the kind of decisions that were taken at the time. Now, regarding the availability of the former finance minister, I think that, he could have been, judged in absentia. I think it was done to the formal Maslock boss, isn't it?
Yes.
He would have been tried in absentia. Yeah. That's what he is trying to do now. I think so.
So my point is that once you are in public office, public resources have been entrusted in your care. You must make sure you use those resources judiciously.
Okay.
Just as Prof said, I'm also a teacher. And so I think we are speaking the same language. And so once public resources have been entrusted in your care, if you use them prudently and genuinely, and when there is time for accountability, I don't think there will be back and forth as to whether I am not well, I will come tomorrow, the next day I have an operation and all that. I believe that the SML, issue, when I came here the last time, the question that I was asking is whether we don't have the capacity at GRA to undertake this revenue and cost assurance engagement.
That'll be determined in court. I'm grateful to you. Thank you very much. So that he is Nelson Kujo Kuagbaji. He is head of finance at Merban Capital. Next to him is Kwame Nkrumah, General Secretary of the CPP. You have Apia Dankwa. He is Director of Legal and Constitutional Affairs of the United Party. And then Professor Isaac Bodi is Dean, Accounting and Finance, UPSA. We'll be back with more. Please do stay.